Today we are going to discuss shortage job first. As the name suggests, right, in this scheduling algorithm, what is going to take place? Whichever process or job, so it is having the shortest CPU burst, will be given the CPU first. So this is the logic behind the shortage job first. I have written here the process requiring the shortest period of time for execution, that is smallest CPU burst. So that will be the given chance to execute, means that particular process which has the shortest CPU burst will be the first to get the CPU. Suppose if a question is that if both the particular two processes are having the same CPU burst, so in that case, first come first serve scheduling will be used. Then third is, now this type of scheduling algorithm can be preemptive or non-preemptive. And we know that non-preemption means what? No interruption. And preemption means what? Interruption. So this is the first algorithm in which we will be seeing how actually the preemptive scheduling algorithm works. And we will see here in this scheduling algorithms two examples. One will be preemptive, one will be non-preemptive approach. Let us again see this first problem. So observe here, the statement is non-preemptive example. Means what? Here no preemption will be allowed. Now here read the problem statement. It is calculate average waiting time of above processes using shortage job first. But here we have to do it first using non-preemptive shortage job first. You can observe here the table. This is the arrival time for these 5 processes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And observe the burst time. If you observe the burst time, this 4 seems to be the smallest process with the smallest CPU burst. Second is this P4. Third is this particular P1. Then this P5 is there, and then this P3 is there. So first, as I have told you, first we will be creating the Gantt chart. So this P1 has entered the system at 0 millisecond. So obviously the Gantt chart will start with the P1. So observe here, first P1 will be given the CPU because it has entered at the 0 millisecond. Now the CPU burst time for P1 is 7, right? So hence this will execute for 7 millisecond. What actually happens is that you may think that now this is the shortage job first. So this at 1 millisecond P2 has entered the system and you observe the CPU burst. It is having a smaller CPU burst as compared to the P1, isn't it? But since this is a non-preemptive approach, what does the non-preemptive approach says? That if a process is executing and even if a next process with shortest CPU burst enters the system, the current process will not be interrupted. Hence, even though the shorter CPU burst has entered the system, the execution of P1 will not be interrupted. And that is why we are saying this, it is as non-preemptive approach. What about the second process? Now you observe here, first P1 executed for 7 milliseconds. Then till that time, all the jobs have entered the system. So if you observe P2, P3, P4 and P5. So which is the shortest job first? That is the P2 because it is having the smallest CPU burst. Then which is the second one? This P4 because it is having 6 milliseconds as the burst time. What about later on P5. So this will be the third job with a smaller CPU burst, and the last one that will be executed will be the fourth one, this P3. Okay, so in this sequence, this Gantt chart will be further proceeded. So observe here, after P1, which is the second job that will be executed, P2. So P2 here, for how much time it will execute? 4. So 7 plus 4, 11. So observe here, P2 executed for 4 milliseconds. Then afterwards, second smallest job is the P4 for the 6 milliseconds. So this P4 will then next execute 11 plus 6, 17. After that, P5 will be executed having the 8 millisecond as a CPU burst. So this is 17 plus 8, 25. And the last is P3 with 10 milliseconds. So this is how the Gantt chart will be drawn for this shortage job first non-preemption approach. Let us observe the waiting time, because here we have to calculate average waiting time, isn't it? So we will be calculating the waiting time for each process, and then we will take the average. Now if you observe this P1, so it entered the system at 0 millisecond, and as it has entered, it just got the CPU. So what is the waiting time for P1? 0 minus 0, that is 0, isn't it? Now observe P2. It entered the system at 1 millisecond. When it got the CPU? 7. So 7 minus 1, 6. Now next, P3 is there. So P3, when it got the CPU at 25 millisecond. But when it has entered the system at 2 millisecond. So 25 minus 2, 23. Now P4, it entered the system at 3 millisecond. And when it started executing at 11 millisecond. So 11 minus 3, 8. P5 entered the system at 4 millisecond, and when it started executing 17 millisecond. So 17 minus 4, 13. And if you now take the average, it will be 0 plus 6 plus 23 plus 8 plus 13 divided by 5. So the sum is 50 divided by 5, and answer is 10 milliseconds. So this is how actually this waiting time for non-preemptive shortage job first is calculated. Now we will again see the same example using the preemptive approach. So let us see this next. Now same problem is there. See, I have not changed anything. But now here the difference that I have made is this example is preemptive example. Means what? Here preemption will be allowed. Preemption means what? Interruption will be allowed. Now you observe carefully what I will be doing here. Again, here if you observe the table, at appropriate time interval, each process has entered the system, and you observe this particular burst time. So smallest burst time is P2, then afterwards is P4, then third is the P1, then fourth is P5, and the largest one is the P3, that is 5. Now observe here Gantt chart. See, at 0 millisecond only P1 was there. So the process will start with the 0, that is P1 process will be executed. Now after 1 millisecond P2 has entered the system. Now what is the CPU burst time? 4. And this is smaller than the CPU burst of P1. And since this is a preemptive approach, so this P1 will be interrupted and P2 will be given a chance for execution. Here observe this. P1 is interrupted as the CPU burst of P2 is smaller than the P1. After the second millisecond, if you go on observing this, the smallest is the P2, isn't it? Hence, it will not be interrupted and P2 will be executed till the complete CPU burst. P2 will execute without any interruption for 4 milliseconds. Till this time of 5, all the processes have entered the system. So after this 4 millisecond, which is the smallest one, this P4 is the smallest one, isn't it? So what is going to happen? This is 6 and again here 1 has been executed. So again this is also same, isn't it? Here also 6 millisecond is remaining and here also 6 millisecond is remaining, isn't it? So in such case, we have just read the statement that in such scenario where the CPU burst time is same, so it will be executed in the way of first come first serve. Hence, P1 is given a chance first for execution. What is here? Here see suppose 5 is there, right? And then it will execute for 6 seconds. So here should be 11. Okay. So it will execute for 6 milliseconds. Then next what will happen? Now next P4 will be executed. So this will be executed for 6 milliseconds. So here it will execute after P1 then for 6 milliseconds. So it will be executed from 11 to 17 milliseconds. Now after that P5 is there of having 8 milliseconds of CPU burst, isn't it? So here observe it will be executed for 8 milliseconds till 25 milliseconds. And in the end, the largest CPU burst P3 will be executed. So it will be executed till 35. So this is how the Gantt chart of this preemptive shortage job first will be constructed. We will calculate the waiting time for each process. Now this particular Gantt chart, you observe this P1 is coming twice. Hence, at both the times, the waiting time needs to be calculated for process P1. So observe this P1, it entered the system at 0 and it got the CPU at 0. So first is as usual our 0 minus 0. Second time you observe it started execution at 5 and till that time 1 millisecond of process P1 was executed, isn't it? Hence 5 minus 1 is to be written and hence the waiting time for process P1 is 4 milliseconds, right? Now next observe the second one P2. It entered the system at 1 millisecond. It got the CPU at 1 millisecond. So here it will be 1 minus 1, 0. Okay. Now observe the third process P3. It entered the system at 2 milliseconds and it was given the CPU at 25 milliseconds, isn't it? So answer will be 25 minus 2 is equals to 23. Then next P4, here it got the process at 11, right? And it has entered at 3. The waiting time is 11 minus 3 is equals to 8. Then last one P5, it entered the system at 4 milliseconds, okay? And it got the CPU at 17 milliseconds. So it is 17 minus 4 is equals to 30. So here average waiting time is 4 plus 0 plus 23 plus 8 plus 13. And the addition comes out to be 48 divided by number of processes, that is 5, and answer comes out to be 9.6 milliseconds. So this is how the shortest job first preemptive approach